So we've had a few days already to digest everything that happened at WrestleMania, including the fact that we crowned several new champions in WWE, including a brand new World Heavyweight Champion in the form of the OTC Roman Reigns, a new Women's World Champion in the form of Liv Morgan, a brand new WWE Women's Champion in the form of Rhea Ripley, and a brand new United States Champion in the form of Trick Williams, who had an incredible WrestleMania moment facing off against Sami Zayn. But now that Trick Williams is U.S. champion, one can assume that he might continue the tradition of the U.S. Championship Open Challenge. But then again, he might not. Possible? Who knows? We will just have to wait until SmackDown this Friday to find out. But that brings us to the question that has been on everyone's minds since WrestleMania: who will be Trick Williams' first challenger for the United States title? Now, granted, we do know that yes, he is a former champion in NXT. He's a former NXT North American champion. He's a former two-time NXT champion, a former TNA World Heavyweight champion, as well as a former Iron Survivor winner. He's done everything that he set out to do in NXT, and then some. Now that he's on the main roster and won his first championship on the main roster, that being the U.S. Championship, who will step up? Who will step up to Trick Williams and the United States title? Well, we need to abide by those who are former U.S. champions, and there are several that are former champions in their own right. First one up is obviously Apollo Crews. The last time he was the United States champion, it was around the time of the pandemic when he defeated MVP to become champion in the first place. Then of course you've got Carmelo Hayes. He never got his rematch for the title. Actually he did, but it was because of Trick Williams that Carmelo Hayes got screwed out of the title. Then of course you've got Damian Priest. Yes, people forget he is a former champion in his own right, and he never got his rematch for the title when he dropped the title and turned heel at that moment in time. Then you've got Ilya Dragunov, a man who pushed everybody to their limit and to be their best when it came to the United States title, because everyone knows that the United States Championship is one of the championships in WWE that can make or break your career in WWE. I would say Jacob Fatu, but apparently several news sources, including Sportskeeda and Body Slam is the name, have announced that Jacob Fatu has been moved over to Monday Night Raw. So I don't know what surprises we'll have on SmackDown this Friday, but congrats to Jacob Fatu on making the move over to Monday Night Raw. It's gonna be interesting to see what Jacob Fatu will be capable of on Raw. I would say Kevin Owens, but he's been out with a very deadly neck injury, and he's been out for a year. Literally been out for a year. Don't know if he's ever gonna come back to the ring. I highly doubt it, but you never know. Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder. Matt Cardona again is another former champion, And as last I remember, he never got his rematch for the title, which if I remember correctly, I believe he won the title in 2011. I think at the end of 2011. I I think it was it? I think it was 2011. I want to say it was at the end of 2011. I don't remember. It's been quite a while. Um, let's see. Yes, I was actually correct. I was correct. He actually won the title at the end of 2011, but ended up losing the title less than a month later. So it was indeed at the end of 2011, but he never got his rematch after dropping the title. So that could be interesting. That could be very interesting. Then of course there's also our truth. A lot of people forget he's a two-time champion in his own right, and it's possible. It is very possible that our truth could be the next U.S. champion. But the guy right now is working with Damian Priest as a tag team champion. Excuse me. So who knows? Who knows? You never know. Randy Orton. People seem to have forgotten because there are a lot of different championship reigns that people have forgotten. But Randy Orton is a former U.S. champion, and he won the title back in 2018 at Fastlane. Was it? I think it was at Fastlane, and he dropped the title at WrestleMania in a Fatal 4-Way, and he never got that rematch. But then you also have as well guys like Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Solo Sikoa, and even also guys like The Miz, um, who are all former U.S. champions in their own right. So there's definitely a lot of talent to consider of who could be the next who could be the first challenger for the title. But going by everything that's happened over the course of the last few months, I'm gonna say the top four, or actually, sorry, the top five that deserve a shot at the U.S. title. I'm gonna say Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, and there was one other person. I would have to say Shinsuke. So Shinsuke is another one of those guys who he's a multi-time U.S. champion, and he was actually a really great U.S. champion, and he defended the title against practically everybody. But ever since reinventing himself and bringing back the old Shinsuke Nakamura that we used to know and love, Shinsuke really hasn't done much on SmackDown. And I think right now, because that he's dealing with Tomatonga, I think it's I think it's safe to say that yes, at some point we could very may well see that match take place, but because that Solo Sikoa and the MFTs are trying to get back the tag team titles and get back the United States title, I think both Shinsuke and Solo do have a legit claim to wanting to become a U.S. champion in their own right. In fact, the last time Shinsuke was the United States champion, it was around 2024. Was it? Was it 2024? I think it was 2024, if I remember right, because I actually have that book here. Hold on. Let's see. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was back in 2024, almost a couple of years ago, where he defeated LA Knight to win the United States title, and then obviously LA Knight regained the title not long after that. So they definitely do have a legit claim. Sami Zayn is another guy that does have a legit claim, and I think because of all the heat that he has gotten over the course of the last month or so, that could be a sign that we could very may well see a heel turn for Sami Zayn. Because while I do agree that yes, babyface Sami Zayn did win him a lot of championships, not just on the main roster but also in NXT. Heel Sami Zayn was just it was perfection at its finest. I mean, the guy was once known as the master strategist because he was always so methodical with his time in the ring, if that makes sense, and that was what made him so dangerous in the ring. So that's a very, very, very high possibility. Ilya Dragunov is another guy that could potentially take up that challenge, especially given the history that both Trick and Ilya have against one another. People forget that Ilya Dragunov defeated Trick Williams at Vengeance Day back in 2024 over the NXT title, and then when Carmelo Hayes turned heel on Trick, and Trick defeated Melo at Stand and Deliver, and then I think lost to Carmelo Hayes not long after that. Melo had already gotten called up to the main roster, and Trick challenged Ilya Dragunov at Spring Break-In and became NXT champion. So technically the rivalry is still going on, and they're both tied at 1 apiece. So maybe the rubber match, and it's the same thing with Carmelo Hayes. This is a guy who became one of the most competitive U.S. champions we've ever seen, and he continued the legacy of the U.S. Championship Open Challenge because he had that much respect for the U.S. title and for what John Cena did for that title in the first place. And I think we could see the rematch that everybody's been wanting to see. So between these 5, who should not challenge? Crazy as it sounds, I don't think it's gonna be Shinsuke. I think because of one reason. It's the fact that he's too focused on trying to get Tama Tonga to essentially just break away from the MFTs, and I think we could very may well see a babyface Tama Tonga that can ultimately become a huge threat to the entire WWE locker room, and potentially a threat to the US title, maybe even a threat to Cody Rhodes and the WWE title, which after Raw this past Monday, I have no idea how the hell Cody Rhodes was able to stand on Raw after Saturday. I have no idea. Definitely not. I don't. But aside from that, this one's a little tricky because Solo, Sammy, Ilya, and Melo, they all have a legit claim to the U.S. title because again, they're all former champions. but I don't think it's gonna be Solo. And the reason why I say that is because right now the MFTs are focusing on Damian Priest and R-Truth and the WWE Tag Team titles, and I think it comes down to the question of, can the MFTs regain the tag team titles? And while I do believe that the answer is yes, I think the bonds that Priest and Truth have had for for all this time, it might be too strong for the MFTs to combat against. But knowing Solo Sikoa, he's always gonna have a trick or two up his sleeve, and because of that, I don't think Solo's gonna be challenging Trick for the title, solely because he's just too focused on the tag team titles. Which then brings us to the final three: Ilya, Sammy, and Mello. Between these three, they are all former NXT champions. They've won championships all over the world. They've won every promotion that they've been a part of. They've won championship gold. However, when you look at the legacy of the United States title, you have to look back on those who held the title before, before these guys. Guys like John Cena, guys like Roman Reigns, guys like guys like R-Truth, guys like Booker T, Eddie Guerrero, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho. Who else can I name? Guys like Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, John Cena. I mentioned. Who else? Guys like Edge, guys like Bret Hart, guys like The Miz, Santino Marella, Matt Cardona, Kofi Kingston. All these guys that I mentioned and more all held the United States title in some capacity, and made it the most prestigious title in professional wrestling. And when you look at prestige, I don't think Sami Zayn has that prestige. As crazy as it sounds, and I get that there's gonna be a lot of haters out there that are gonna hate me for saying this, but the fact that Sami Zayn ended up becoming a transitional champion proves that we're going to be seeing a heel turn for Sami Zayn. And I think this was a way for him to get away from the US title and put himself back in the picture of the WWE title at some point, which it could be sometime between now and potentially Clash in Italy, which I believe will be at the end of May, if I remember correctly. So on that Sunday, I will not be going to Bear Cave like I normally do. So I'll be staying home to watch Clash in Italy and giving you guys the results like I always do. So I don't think it's going to be Sami Zayn, because I feel like this was a way for him to go after the WWE title and give him the moment that he truly deserves. But that brings us to Mello and Ilya. Man, the battles that those two had over the NXT title were just incredible. The battles that those two had over the US title, they were just ads. It comes down to one question: who is more driven to be the United States champion? Both of these guys are very capable of challenging Trick Williams, but it comes down to who knows Trick more. And the answer is obvious. It is Carmelo Hayes. The reason being is because it was Trick Williams that cost Carmelo Hayes the United States title just weeks before WrestleMania, and I think we're gonna be seeing that matchup very, very, very soon. So my prediction is going to be Carmelo Hayes. But if you guys think I'm wrong and you guys believe that someone else is going to take that opportunity, then let me know down in the comments below who you believe will take that opportunity and why. Let me know down in the comments below. And that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.